Hello, everybody. I'm here to introduce you to adinkra, which is one of the traditional Ghanaian crafts. In Ghana, traditional crafts are associated with particular ethnic groups, and adinkra comes from the Ashanti, who are around the Kumasi area, which is in the middle of Ghana. Adinkra. Adinkra means farewell, and it's from the Akan language, which the Ashanti speak, and it's made up of two words, adi, which means to depart, and inkra, which means message. And originally, it was a funeral cloth. The Ashanti believed that when you die, you go to join the ancestors. So when they go to a funeral, they wear a cloth, which is black, and they wear it over their left shoulder like a toga. And this cloth has messages printed on it. And the message goes along with the deceased to give to the ancestors in the other world. Now, how is this done? Well, this is an adinkra stamp. This is an adinkra stamp. This one is a comb, which represents beauty, and this one represents wisdom. There are hundreds of these, and they're all based on proverbs or popular sayings or historical happenings, and it's a nonverbal language that people from the Ashanti understand. Now, how they do this is they get the bark of a certain tree that grows in the north. They boil it down for about a week, and then they add iron ore, which gives it a black color. And then when it's cooled down, they add the white of an egg to give it a glossy surface. And it's kind of like a tar when it's ready. And this is called, when you translate it into English, adinkra medicine. Like many other forms of adinkra, which were originally printed on black cloth, adinkra has changed. Now it's printed on many colors, bright colors, and it can be worn for festive occasions like weddings or parties. And the ink is still always black. This is a book that was made by one of the children that we work with in Ghana. The children make the brown paper out of sugarcane leaves, and then to show that the book is made in Ghana, they use adinkra stamps. This particular stamp means God is all powerful. God is great. And like other things, adinkra has been updated, and now it's often silk screened instead of stamped. And the reason for this is because silkscreen is faster, it's cheaper, and although traditional people don't wear the silk-screened adinkra. It does sell, I guess, to tourists, and you can tell the difference. This is an adinkra cloth that was given to me as a gift many years ago. I think it's probably from around 1920. And these messages all have meanings. And you can get charts that tell you what the meanings are. And then this is a piece of adinkra that is silk-screened. And it's very different, I think. A lot of the symbols are not real adinkra symbols. They're just put there as decoration. The fabric is very stiff, like silkscreen is. And this cloth is very soft, and the stamps are on very fine hand-woven cloth. Adinkra symbols have become so popular now that you see them on everything. There are, as you see, books, on cloth that people make regular clothes out of. Restaurants are called adinkra, hotels, chairs. Almost anything you see can have an adinkra symbol on it. So that's a very short introduction to the first video that you're going to see. Most of the video was filmed at our cultural center in Ghana, where we have cultural awareness and artist residency workshops.
My name is Bob Dennis, Master Kente Weaver from Ghana, and then I come from the Volta region. And then, honestly, growing up in a family of weavers, weaving is more or less like a hobby, because whether you like it or not, you are forced to learn, because that is what your parents do, or your great-great-grandparents actually did. So when you come to Ghana, we said kente cloth is actually synonymous with the identity of Ghana. Anywhere at all you find yourself in the world, even if you have a strip of kente, those who know kente and have been to Ghana would always be like, that is kente from Ghana, I've been to Ghana, and all manner of stories. So you distinguish yourself by just using a strip of kente. Now we said when you come to Ghana, basically we have two types of kente. Sometimes I use kete from the background I am coming from, but generally it's known as kente, but the right pronunciation in my dialect is actually kete. So we said basically when you come to Ghana, we have two types of kente that you can chance upon. We have what is called the Ashanti kente, and then also we have what is called the Ewe kente. Now these two names stems from the fact that it's only these two tribes that we've kente in Ghana, the Ashantis and also the Ewes. So the Ashantis have actually decided to name their type of kente after the tribe, so do the Ewes. Though we have some weaving that is done up north, that is referred to the fugu. The material used is actually different from what we, the kente weavers, we use, so it's called fugu. Mostly used to tailor the smocks and then the batakari and then the long dresses for women. Now with the two types of kente that I have just mentioned, the Ashanti and then the Ewe, this is a typical example of an Ashanti weave, and also this is a typical example of Ewe weave. So now there are some differences you see when you take a look at these two types of kente. Let me just put this side by side, the Ewe weave. One, when you come to the material that we use, mostly in Ashanti kente we use rayon and silk, whereas in Ewe kente we use cotton, we use rayon, and also we use silk. So looking at the two types of kente, you realize that because already silk is vibrant in nature, rayon is also vibrant in nature. When you combine these two types of materials, the silk and the rayon, you realize that mostly all Ashanti kentes are very loud. They are very vibrant, they are very colorful, just because of the nature of the rayon and then the silk combined. Now when you look at Ewe kente, you realize that exceptionally only few are vibrant, but majority are sort of muted, they are toned down, they are calm. Just that we use about 80% cotton, and then we use about 10% silk and 10% rayon. So you realize that most Ewe kentes are very calm, very muted as compared to the Ashanti counterpart. Another difference that you see, is when you take a look at Ashanti kente, you realize that mostly the symbols are geometric. Whereas when you go to Ewe kente, you see more of the figurative symbols. Like a typical example that we have over there, you see a cat, you see a crocodile, then you see a chameleon, you see a hand, you see a stool, you see a comb, you see all manner of symbols in Ewe kente. Some come in a very realistic manner. Now you don't even need the help of the weaver to identify the type of symbols they are. But some also are very abstract, like a typical example of what I have over here. They are the very abstract ones that you see a bird, you see an armpit talking drum, you see a fishing net. It's very abstract. You need the help of the weaver to actually identify the type of symbol it is. Now another differences you see in these two types of kente is when you take a close look at Ewe kente, we have what we call the chilled effect. The chilled effect is just playing together 2 or 3 color threads, whereas you don't see that is missing in the Ashanti kente. So these are some of the differences you see in the Ashanti kente and also in Ewe kente. But the methods of production, the weaving is almost the same. It's only that the cloth that differs in a way. So these are some of the differences you see comparing these two types of kente, the Ashanti and then the Ewe. Now I want to give you a few story or background as to the evolution of kente, or how kente came into being. Because as I earlier on mentioned, we said kente is actually our ceremonial cloth here in Ghana. It's being used mostly in occasions like installment of chiefs, adoration of newborn babies, marriage ceremonies, and then all manner of activities. We use kente because kente is actually our ceremonial cloth here in Ghana. Now, people ask, how did this whole idea of kente come about? Because when you actually take a close look at how the weaving is being done, we put like threads together, and then a strand of thread in no time, when the weaver weave up and down, it becomes a cloth. How did all this whole art came about? So there are this school of thought concerning the origination of kente cloth. Some actually said nature might have influenced it, because way in the 17th century there was the need for mankind to actually clothe himself. So people were using leaves, back of trees at the time to actually clothe themselves. So nature might have just influenced the first weavers to actually come up with weaving. Then some also rubbish this idea that probably the whole idea originated using the baby loom. When we go outside, I'll show you how the baby looms like. The whole idea actually originated using the baby loom. Then with time, they decided to develop it into the bigger looms that we see today. Then there's also this school of thought. Some also rubbish the idea of the baby loom. Then there's also this popular school of thought that probably it originated from the spider myth, that a hunter one day went hunting, saw a spider spinning its web, look at the intricacy of what the spider was doing, came back, and then decided to practice weaving using sisal and raffia. So it was believed that the first man-made woven cloth, or kente, was woven using sisal and raffia. Then they also extracted some colors from plants, because originally the colors of kente at the time was just black and white. So they decided to extract colors from plants to dye the original white material or black material into other colors. So this is just a brief history concerning the origination of kente cloth. Come to weaving. We said weaving is actually categorized under two broad umbrellas. That is, we have the simple weaves, and also we have the compound weaves. And also when you come under the simple weaves is also categorized again under two umbrellas. Some are just simple weaves, and then some are also complex simple weaves. And then when you go to the compound weaves can be categorized under three: first compound, second compound, third compound. So when you take a look at the types of weaves that we have on display over here, somebody can describe this as a compound weave. And this is just the first type of compound weave, because when you take a close look at this cloth, you realize that the warp colors are just the deep blue and then the black. And you see the warp colors throughout the entire length of the cloth. But again, somebody is calling it a compound weave. It's compound because you see all the symbols over here are detailed. And then they are all done by the hand. We call them the picking method. So this cloth falls under a compound weave, by the first type of compound weave. Then when you come over here, this is another type of compound weave that we call the float weave. So you realize that when you take this is the right side, and when you take this is the wrong side. So you realize that the patterns have actually floated at one side of the weave. Here is a different side or a different design. Then here is also a different design. So this is the second type of compound weave. Now when you come here, we have what looks like a tapestry. The warp colors here is just blue. But as you look along, you realize that there are portions that you see blue, there are portions you see white, there are portions you see green, there are portions you see this deep pink. So you realize that during the entire length of this cloth, the weft has completely concealed the warp. You don't see the warp colors. You see the weft colors instead. So this is the third type of compound weave, and it's more complex than the others. We have a similar example also over here. That when you take a look at this cloth, you realize that the warp colors are just two, the black and the gray. But as you go along, there are portions that you see the weft completely concealing the warp. Instead of the warp, you see the weft. Then you see the weft, you see the warp, you see the weft. Then that is what we call balance weave. The warp weave is balancing with the weft. So this is the balance weave. Now, when you come to the plain weave, as I mentioned, the plain weave is just categorized into two. This is a typical example of a plain weave. These are the warp colors, and you see the warp throughout. It's just plain. There's nothing here now that shows that this has any supplementary weft or any additional work. It's just plain. Now when you come here, this is another type of simple weave. Then you realize that intermittently we use other colors that we call the supplementary weft, then in addition to the background color of the warp itself. So this is the second type of plain weave. So now again, when you come to kente cloth, every kente cloth you see has a name. All the designs have the name. Some designs actually takes the name after the weave. The way the weaving is done, that is how they name the cloth after it. Some designs also, take their name maybe after the first weaver who brought that design into being. Some also like an insinuation between members or weavers. So every design at all you see has a name. Some are also very traditional. They date back as early as the 17th century, like the Fiaoyum, Ohachi, Nata, Galanyako. Those are the old designs. So when you go to the Ashanti counterpart too, they also have every cloth and then their names. And then every cloth also, their names also mean something. Unlike the symbols all you see in our cloths, they mean something. It's just not there for symbol's sake. It means something. So that is how we come about the names and then the different types of weaves. When we talk about kente weaving, somebody will ask, what actually do we call weaving? And so we say weaving is the interworking between two elements, namely the warp and then the weft, of which the warp is held under tension. And now I tell people that when you travel across the whole of West Africa, you come across countries that weave. But the weavings that we do actually differs from one country to the other. What we do over here is different from what they do in Nigeria. It's different from what they do in Senegal. It's different from what they do in Mali. It's different from what they do in Burkina Faso. But when you travel across the whole of West Africa, you come basically across 4 different types of looms. And then we have what we call the vertical loom, mostly used by the women in Nigeria. Then we have what we call the tripod loom. The tripod loom is used by people of Liberia, and also Senegal. Then you come across the horizontal ground loom used by people in Burkina Faso and also part of Mali. Now when you come to Ghana, we have the fourth and then the hybrid type that people call the birch loom, and also people call it the West African traditional loom. Now we said in history, the West African traditional loom is the only loom that makes good use of the longest warp you can ever imagine. I tell my customers that red is a color that sells all year round. From January to December, customers want things woven in red. Runners in red, placemats in red, bed covers in red. So when I am going to lay my warp, I lay my warp of 500 meters in red, because I know out of that 500 meters length, I can weave my placemat, I can weave my runners, I can weave my bed covers and what have you. Now when you come to the weaving, as I mentioned, people hear warp, people hear weft, and they don't know what you call warp, they don't know what you call weft. We said the warp is the vertical threads that run from one end of the cloth to the other. Now we have some materials that we use for the warp, which we call the thread. So I have the threads here on my table. We have threads like cotton, the cotton thread. Then we use threads like the rayon, and then we use threads also like the silk. So we have these basic three types of yarns that we use: the cotton yarns, the rayon, and then the silk. So depending on what you want to do I want to lay my warp? If I want to lay my warp, then I am putting my threads onto my bobbins, because mostly the threads that we work with, they either come in hanks or they come on cones. So as you can see, this one is in the hank and it's difficult to work with it like this. So I need to put it, wind it onto the bobbin before I use it to weave. And again, after you finish your warp laying and everything, you have to prepare your loom. We call it preparation of the loom. Then you need some basic things to prepare the loom with. We have what we call the headers. So as you can see, these are the headers. And then the headers too, we have two types of headers. Is it the main header or the pattern header? Because I tell my customers that everything that you see in the inlet portion of a cloth is all woven. The names of people, the symbols of organizations, the animals that you see, whatever you see, they are all woven. Nothing is embroidered afterwards. Everything is woven on the loom. Anything that is embroidered afterwards, as we have these days, coming from the outside world, then it's not kente, because kente, everything is handmade. Everything is woven. So we use the pattern header in setting the patterns, the symbols, the names, the logos, what have you. And then this we call the reed. So after you finish with your header, you go on to thread your reed, or people call it the beater. So it's the beater that beats the weft and makes the warp, the cloth actually finest or tighter, as you see. Then we have what we call the shuttle. The shuttle actually carries the weft to and fro. So this is just the basic equipment or the basic materials that you need to actually get your loom set up for weaving to be done. So I'm now going to the loom to actually demonstrate how the weaving is done for you to weave. So I am now going to start weaving. As I mentioned earlier on, everything kente is woven. So I'm coming to just insert a symbol using the picking method, which is going to be done by hand. So I use my saw stick in doing it, since I don't have the type of weave I'm doing is plain. I don't have supplementary weft header, which is the pattern header. I'm using the saw stick, so I have started. I'm just using my hand to pick. So I'm drawing a fishing net. I'm almost halfway. So when I'm done, so I'm done. That's my fishing net.
So here we are in Accra, Makola, heading to a shop with lots of Ghana-made fabrics. So this is a very big shop. You're going to see most of the fabric, kente. So most of the fabric you see here are made in Ghana. This fabric that you're seeing, which looks like the kente, is not actually weaved. These fabrics are made in Ghana and is made by different companies in Ghana. So we have the GTP, and we have another fabric called the Daviva, and you have the Woodin, and we have Adipa Dumas. So we'll be showing you most of them in here. Most of the fabric that is being showcased in this glass is the Daviva fabrics. So you'll be seeing one of these Daviva fabric that has the symbol of Jinyame, and the meaning is accept God. So there you go. This is Daviva fabric. This is another fabric that's called a GTP New Style. GTP New Style. And there we go with the GTP Adipa Dumas. So this fabric that you're seeing here is the GTP Adipa Dumas, made in Ghana.